often in my projects I use this guide, and I developed this guide a long time ago because I wanted exact thicknesses on thin materials, short stock, and I don't have any power equipment to do it with. Quick demo on how it works. I've got my number 5 plane. It sits within the carriage. I move forward like this. 1, 2, 3. So I've got this side planed up. I flip over, blow out the dust, and then I go from this side, and this time I go all the way down until it actually stops. But just for now, I want to show you how to make the guide, not necessarily how to use it, but it makes the stock perfect from one end to the other if you use my system for making the guide. So I've got one kind of guide here. This one I've glued up all together, but what I'm going to do is show you how to make one using screws, because you might want to dismantle parts of it, because these side pieces I call the ways, I don't know why, but these could be replaced and you can get different thicknesses. So you can stack it up, you can do different things. So let's go ahead and make a guide. I'm going to show you how to make a double guide. It's going to have one thickness one side and another thickness on the other. So this is my main carriage, this is the base. I've got side pieces that go on here like this. And then I've got these pieces that give me the thickness of the material I want, which in my case is going to be 1/4 inch. So I want my strips, these strips, to be rough cut on a bandsaw, perfectly fine, and then housed into here to be planed up by hand. I want the smoothness, the silkiness, and the exactness I can get using this system. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to do to make this. I'm going to make my guide like an H. It's going to go something like this on both sides, and that will give me a platform on this side for thinner stock and a thicker stock on the other side. The one thing you don't want is for these sides to be too high, because when you're planing with this type of plane, your hand is down here and you can catch on those side pieces. So let's work our way through this. So I have set a gauge somewhere here. I've set a gauge to, it's 9/16. That's the size that fits my hand, it suits me. So I'm going to run a gauge line along the top edges of my 2 side pieces like this. And this is going to guide me when I screw this in place. It's going to guide me so I know that I'm parallel. But this is not an exact science. It wouldn't matter if you were out of parallel. What matters is how you feel about it when you do it. I'm going to drop this on here, and I'm going to run a parallel line to that gauge line on both the pieces, just like that. And then in between those 2 lines, I'm going to guesstimate the center. So there's my center. Run a line down there, because that's going to guide us as we drive holes through here for the screw holes. So let's do that first. What size bit do I have? I'm just going with something that will take the head of the shank of the screw. So this is going to go on here like this. Now you can glue this together, glue it and clamp it, and you don't have to use screws. That's going to be up to you. So I'm turning over and I'm going to drive this. This is a small bit, 1/8. I'm going through both pieces. I'm keeping firm pressure on my piece of wood, on my 2 pieces of wood, lining that up with the gauge line, and coming in from this end as well. I'm going in the middle. Why did I put the line on the inside? Because I did plan originally that if this was slipping, I would drill from the other side and come through. So, but I can guesstimate exactly where I'm going, like that. So 3 screws is plenty. I'm going to change the bit to another bit. and drill through like this. I'm going to drill from the outside. This is going to take the whole shank of the screw, including the thread. And then I'm going with a countersink bit, like this. Now you can put more screws in if you want to, but you don't need to. This will be absolutely plenty. I'm using the countersink on the inside just to deburr the surface of the hole. Now you can glue that, as I said, if you wanted to glue it, you can glue it, but you really do not need to. So let's put some screws in here. Keep a small box of screws like these close to hand. Let's see what size. I don't need very much. There's no real pressure on this when you get to it, so let's drive a screw through here into that hole, into that one, and into that one. So I can feel those locate. I need a bit to drive it in. And we're going to do the same on the opposite side, exactly. So drive the screw until it stops. So there we've got one side done. So this is going to be the side where I put my strip of wood in. So we're going to get this right. We want to go the same with this one. So let's put this one together exactly the same way. Line everything up closely. I want the ends to be flush because we're going to put an end cap on here like this when we're done. So we don't want this staggered. We want to be accurate, okay? So lining up with my gauge line, drilling those holes. Was I ready? No, I've got to change the bit, haven't I? Am I on the line? I am. So I'm going all the way through. This bit is sized so that the screw threads will bite into the wall of the hole, and doing that will prevent it from splitting. So that's the reason I'm drilling the hole with a pilot hole. One in the middle somewhere. I'm going to stop myself from going too deep, like that, just to save a little bit of time. So this is really a very quick method for making this guide. Why is that stuck? Magnetic bits. Drive the screw. Second screw. And the last one. I have to go back in with the bigger hole. So I've got my carriage pretty much together. Now on some of these I just, like I said, I glue them together and leave them to dry, or I super glue them on. What I sometimes do with this part, these parts, I super glue them into place, and that means that you can go in with a chisel and a hammer and you can part them off, and usually it'll split along the glue line. In this case, I'm going to I'm going to go with the drilling them and screwing them because it gives me the instancy I want. So this is the end that's flush, so I'm going to screw this. I'll put 3 screws in and that should be plenty. like that. And you want to make sure that you countersink deep enough to make sure that the screws are not going to be protruding past the surface. So I'm going with a fairly small screw. So if there's a slight surface, like the breakout from the hole, get rid of it, because you do want this. Now I've used plywood, but you can use solid wood. I've got two that are going on the other side that are solid wood, and you can use solid wood as well. I just use this because it's dead 1/4 inch and it's dead to the size that I actually want when I come to put this together. So I need shorter screws this time. Oh, there they are. Because I don't want to come through the other side and stop the other pieces from going in place. So these need to be either flush or slightly back from the leading edge. One. Again, like I said, make sure they're below the surface. I'll do the same on the other side. Did they come through? No. No sign, so I'm doing well. So again, I'm going to go through all the way into that piece of wood, the main carriage. Take this off. We want these to be parallel, so anything underneath will discount the accuracy that we're striving for. This is the underside, I think, or is it? I can't remember. I love this. I love the idea of this. And I've done this so that we will have absolute accuracy on the thicknesses that I want, because I'm going to be making about 100 strips that will go to make panels in my next project. That's not countersunk deep enough. So I want to guarantee that. I'll do this one again, I guess. You'll soon know if you've gone deep enough, because you'll hear a clunk clunk like a train. All right, so one more piece. I'm not going to do the other side because the other side is the same, but I will show you what I mean. So I've got these two pieces. These would go in this side like this, and the plane, either the number 5 or a number 4.5, will ride on that, and that prevents the plane from taking too much off. So it's a guaranteed thickness when it comes to it. So which end was flush and which one wasn't? Both are flush. They're great. So let's go ahead and put this piece on. So this is the stop, and the stop needs to go, I'll show you, it needs to go just below the surface of those two side pieces by maybe a couple of millimeters, something like that. And that means that when you're planing, the plane won't hit that stop on the end. So let's drill some holes in this one as well. I'm going to use the small bit, the 1/8 bit, because that will take the walls of the screw. So I'm going into the midsection, not into the side pieces. And I've used a 1/2 inch piece of ply, but you can use solid wood if you want to. You don't have to use plywood for any of this. I'm going a little bit deeper. And now I need a different size bit for this bit, because I want to take the whole shank of the screw. And I want a fairly substantive screw to go into this end grain. So I'm overhanging here. So those screws are now dead centered on the lower holes, which I want. I'm flipping over to deburr this side. And you can glue this on if you want to, because it's on end grain. If you prefer that, you can. So I'm going to go with a 2-inch long screw, I think. Because I'm going through 1/2 inch and I want to make sure a lot of pressure going on this when it comes to the final driving of the plane. So I think I'm in the holes. So I'm just below the surface of the 2 side pieces. Nice and solid, really solid. And that is my guide is made. That's how we make the guide. Flip over, put the ways in the other side. I made my end stop here so that would be out of the way when I come to planing. There, like that. So, right, so that's what we do to make a thicknessing guide. I designed this a long time ago. I've used it on many projects and it works perfectly. So let me show you how I use the guide. There are many small idiosyncrasies to this. I've sharpened my plane. It will rely on sharp planes. Everything you do should rely on a sharp plane. I'll give you one last little tip you might want to do. This is where I said, when you're riding your plane here, my hand is well clear of this corner, but you could just take a small corner off like this. That guarantees that you will never hurt your hand on there, I'm sure. Okay, so clamped into the vise nice and firm. Cinch it tight, and I've got a couple of sticks of wood that I have here that will give you an example of how this is going to work. So I've set my plane, I've sharpened it, I make sure that it's nice and sharp. Now lift the plane off, because you might pull it back, and when you see what's happening, it comes back with the friction of the sole of the plane. Let's reduce the friction. So this is just my rag in a can oiler. You can follow that online and make your own. It works perfectly. It puts me where I want to be. I'm not taking quite enough off, so I can go with a deeper cut here. And you'll hear the difference. So I just take off a clean shaving. Once I get that clean shaving, and I have to tell you, this feels like glass. Flip over, blow the bed off, and you can feel the difference, really. Watch what happens now. Plane rests on the surface. Come back until you feel it back. So this is the rough sawn side. You can hear it skipping. Those hollows are below. Now we're taking a more continuous shaving. I'm going to turn it round because I'm going against the grain. I can feel it, all of that sensitivity. Okay. Now there. It's stopping. It's taking less off. I can feel I'm getting close. If I take this out now, take my vernier, switch on, zero out, so there I'm 0. Let's see what we got. 6.37, 6.4, 6.4, 6.43, 6.44, 6.43, no, 6.48, 6.3. So those tolerances are super tight. Now what happens if I make a mistake and I haven't got the right thickness? I want to take less off, or more off should I say. I can cut strips in here. This is the great thing about this guide. So if I just take this and I want to take a paper thickness more off this, I slide this into place. The paper would always go to the far end, of course. But if I took the plane now, can you see it's taking off? I just took off the thickness of that piece of paper from this end. So this now is 6.23, whereas it was somewhere in the 6.5. So I've taken off a paper thickness, which is what I've got here, 0.8. So now add up the numbers. I know I'm going rather quickly, but that's how this guide works. It's a perfect answer to a thicknessing without using any power equipment.